Hey everyone, and welcome to Art Informer, your number one source for art facts.
Great job.
We have with us today artist Zander Cannon, artist and writer, and all sorts of things.
I'm just an artist today, though.
And Jeff Marchiafava is over there too.
That's right.
And we are looking at the Game Infarcer cover from this year. Zander, as you've done for, what are we at, 13, 14 years on this now?
It's terrible to guess. I don't even, it feels bad to guess, actually. But I think it's 13, 14, something.
Yeah. Longtime collaborator, Zander Cannon, talking to us about the art that he put together for this month's Game Infarcer cover. Just okay, Luigi Odyssey.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's funny because I think that we should preface this by saying that, we've been doing this for a long time, and then, but very rarely does anything happen other than people are like, that's pretty funny. Bloodborne, funny stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Kyle told me that this was on either the front page of Reddit or it was headed to the front page when he told me, and I didn't post it. It was some guy who posted a very badly cropped picture of the of the physical, magazine. Yeah, I definitely saw this one pop up a little more than previous years, and that's the same on our end too. For just on the print side of it, is that we put all this time and effort into putting together this section of the magazine, and I feel like the most we get is sort of a chuckle sometimes. Right. That was pretty good this year.
Or people confused.
Yeah, or confused, or they think it sucks. But
right.
It certainly doesn't set the world on fire, but we have fun. We have fun doing it. I hope you also have fun doing it.
Oh yeah, I do. But yeah, it's and so I mean, and I'm on Reddit every once in a while, and so and there seems to be you couldn't put it I couldn't put it up, because people would be like, well, who do you think you are, guy?
Yeah. Rules
putting
against
up your
self-promotion and stuff.
Yeah, but it's funny that somebody just puts that up, and then I can hop in and say, oh, I drew this, and this is this is what we were thinking, and
So we've talked about this before. We've done a few similar sort of videos like this in the past, but in general, let's start off talking about how we get started on this project, even in the first place. Because the way it usually goes is that us on the print side have our sort of conversation about ideas that we want for the cover, and then we just sort of have a meeting and with you, and then we all just throw a bunch of weird gags and stuff at the wall, basically, and see what sticks.
Right, and I feel like a lot of stuff is fairly in place by the time I come in. I mean, the subject and the general idea, but I think that we may have changed it from Mario to Luigi.
Yeah.
In that meeting.
Yeah. This year it was different.
This was a little different.
Because we basically had one idea that was more of a Mario PUBG sort of crossover.
Oh yeah.
And that was the idea that I think when we set up the meeting, that was the idea we were going with. And then another idea sort of happened instead.
Yeah, no one was super in love with it, and then I think it was Jeff Cork who brought in the amazing idea to do Super Mario Odyssey, but with Luigi and pants.
Because pants are always fun.
Yes.
Right.
So let's go back. So after we have the idea, Luigi in pants, and we've thrown a bunch of weird things at the wall, let's go to the first thing that you churn, because what we're looking at here is the finished.
Yeah, this is the finished
thing,
but layered file. So we'll be able to look at all the layers. But this is this is what I'll originally do. I think I'll do a couple sketches on paper while I'm talking to you guys, but then I'll go in, and there are different colors that Mario, I kind of do everything separately, and I want to do them on separate layers so I can move them around for composition. And that's why I have them in different colors, so that I remember, oh, okay, this is separate from this, and I don't draw on the wrong layer.
Yeah.
And it makes it look extra weird, crazy.
So let's see. The stuff we have going on here, Luigi in pants, obviously, front and center. But then there's some sort of the pants ship there.
Yeah,
off
the pants
in the corner.
ship that was the hat ship in the game. Joe, I remember you were pretty reluctant to have like the person looking out the window in like the zipper area. You thought it would be too much, especially that it was Toad and he's like a little mushroom.
Not looking out the window, it was him. I was reluctant to have a little like mushroom-headed guy poking out of the zipper area of the
comedy
pants.
gold.
So I took that to heart, Joe. I toned it down. It's a window, so it's very not zipper like.
If you want to see it there, you can see it,
right.
but it's not
But yeah,
begging for attention.
Right. And then I think that there were all these little gags, and I was just trying to fit them in. The billet bill with it tied around his head or his neck or whatever. The thwomp guy who is like he would iron the pants. Like he
sort
used
of
to press the pants.
Yeah.
And then these guys, Goombas in pants, like all stuffed into the pants, and then the down here the centipede. I don't know what their names are.
Oh yeah.
And then and then the other ones. I don't know. I guess I didn't do sketches of everything. And then this was going to be Pauline, right, from Donkey Kong, but we changed it to Daisy because she's like Luigi version of.
I don't know enough about
Princess?
Mario lore. Is Daisy the sort of canonical love interest for
Probably.
Luigi?
Yeah, probably.
If he has one.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's how I kind of felt like, if you have to look up 2 or 3 pages of it, you're like, you know what, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's then. And there's reference. Like I would bring in reference to just sort of say like, okay, this is what this is like the whole layout style. And I basically just trace the logo. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel, really.
Well, and even the general sort of idea, like it is very taken from the Mario Odyssey box art of the sort of like little vignettes all over the place and stuff.
Yeah. And again, it's just like sometimes, I think that this is probably not a super high concept for a cover, and yet everybody loved it. Like that was kind of great. Like, I think it's possible to overthink these things. So it's kind of nice to, and so that, and then I found this font so that I could do the player 2.
The tattoo.
Player 2 tattoo. Which
That was a very disturbing detail. That's what really sold me on it the first time I saw it. I was, holy crap, Luigi's gross.
As if you didn't know.
Yep.
So then so I'll do the pencils over that, and so we can delete some of these. And so this looks like a big jump, and it is like a lot of times I'm going to be looking at a lot of reference while I'm doing this. So Luigi, I can go from this, the layout Luigi, who's, he's off model, shall we say, and to, I did a lot of adjustments and a lot of like looking at, actual illustrations of Luigi and stuff. And then, just maybe, once everything is sort of finalized in terms of its location, then we just sort of place it all on here, and then we have the little the fish with the pants. Ben kept pushing for the fish with pants. Then he'd wet his pants. And I just kind of kept thinking, how are we going to show that? But I decided I was going to put it in anyway. So I did. There's like, well, you'll see in the color version.
We'll definitely get to that part. And then one thing I wanted to point out too, this is when we're still working with the title regular Luigi.
Right.
Because we were trying to think of the sort of counterpoint to super to sell the idea that like Luigi is certainly not super.
Right.
But I think we were on our end, the problem that we were running into is like not knowing if just regular really sells the joke in terms of like
not super.
Being in opposition to super versus like, is this just a regular Odyssey or is Luigi regular? What's going on?
Yeah.
I think, and then it was you who found the solution in the just okay.
Just okay. Yeah, because it's not a very clever change, but it really, I feel like that's in illustration. That's all it is. Sometimes it's like you think, all right, this is not a clever idea, but it gets it across. And it's a fast read, and that's what's more important than anything else. So let's look at this. So then, first of all, I did. Let's see. Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's just the line art, which is which is ink. It actually is not ink. It's all done on the computer. But yeah, that's when I sort of really touched up, make things really final and nice looking.
Yeah.
And are you doing that in Photoshop?
No, actually, I do 90% of this in Photoshop. This one I do in. It's called Clip Studio Paint now, but it used to be called Manga Studio, and I have an old version that's called Manga Studio. And it interacts with the pen pressure better. Like it has more sophisticated brushes, and it's just a little bit smoother. And I just work on that on usually at home instead of at the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can see that we changed to Just Okay. Luigi, made the pants. One of the things that was really hard about this was, Luigi is very much this green color, but his pants are not that color. And I did not realize that when we were talking about it. So I kept thinking, pants here, pants here, pants here. But it doesn't work very well because the pants are blue. Let's hold on, let's grab the color back in.
You think that doesn't work very well?
Well, I think it works fine, but I had to work around it. Like really make his green shirt and his green hat, and then really, I really put in this green like background as soon as I could. But like the pants are blue, and so instead of having that pop of red like Mario has, its pop of denim blue, which doesn't really ever grab you. And I was thinking about having Luigi be all green, but I don't know, Mario, just having the Mario colors, or the same colors as Mario, sold it.
Man, I think it comes across I'm not trained in this, but that looks good to me.
Right. No, the main thing I mean is that it's like I remember realizing that and realizing I have to shift things a little bit, instead of having this obvious green everywhere.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting that, when you sort of see it in your head one way, and then what you end up with is just like, I don't know, like the interplay of some different colors on there. I like it.
Yeah. So, so one of the things, if we go, oh boy, so these files become so enormous. Joe's computer nearly died when we tried to open.
Yeah, it did not work. Well, and I remember you telling me too over email that this is one of the most layered or complicated sketches that you've done for us.
Well, before I could even bring it in, I had to go and fix it, because it was a mess. Because once you create a new layer, they call it layer 5 or layer 6 or layer 340, and so there were a million layers like that, and I was like, I don't know what's on this layer. It's just called layer 340.
Yeah.
And so I had to really kind of figure it out and put them all in these. You can see over here these folders.
Yeah.
And so like the color, if you take that out, the color is really where most of the art happens. Because the line art is. There's no black, there's no like solid black shadows because when you have solid black shadows and then you do like an elaborate color scheme on like this, it tends to flatten out really a lot.
Okay.
Like if you read the comic Hellboy, he uses a lot of black areas, and so the colorist, when he comes in, is always like flat reds and flat grays.
Yeah.
So that it lets his composition work to define the space, instead of what I do here, which is more define it with the color.
Yeah.
With a lot of dumb tricks too. Like I felt like Luigi wasn't popping out of the background, and so I did this glow of sunlight.
Oh.
And cut him out so that it would kind of de-emphasize everything in the background, and take that all out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it works. I think it works fine. It works with the style of the Mario style.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we have Lakitu, whatever he is, up on his own little layer so he can go over the letters there.
Right. Yeah. So you can see that you see the little thing in there. But I meant him to originally be like peeking over the letters. But but I misjudged it. I think I had the wrong size template.
Oh yeah, because we changed magazine sizes a few years ago, so that probably is what.
Yeah. So it wasn't a big deal. He He's a dumb-looking guy doing a dumb-looking thing, so it doesn't really matter.
And
Also, his pants don't fit well. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's on the cover of a fake magazine.
Right.
So.
The number one pretend magazine. That's always my favorite. But yeah, and one of the things too that is easy to forget about these colors is that like all of these spaces are supposed to take. This one here takes place at dusk, and so you have. Let's see. Oh gosh. I don't even know where it is, but like, in a lot of places, it's just gonna like I had to. There we go. So on all of these, I had these background filters, and so each one you can see. So the white is where they're active. So this one here is the one in the upper right hand corner. So if I take that out, it's like, see how it's like dusk and everything is kind of shifted towards purple.
Yeah.
Well, if you take it off, then everything is the color it was originally colored, and it just takes it takes something away, And so there's a lot of little things like that. That was probably not a good example because that one's pretty subtle, but
it's still you can still tell.
But yeah, like the little fish guy. He's
with wet pants.
Yeah.
He's super concerned about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like unless you'd have someone to tell you, like it's hard to for sure get what's going on there.
Yeah. It's
but it's once you know, it's like, oh yeah, that fish wet his pants.
That's a classic Ben Reeves joke right there. So yeah, and then the rest of it. And so another thing about this is that when I was finished inking it, it was this huge file. I was like, this is due soon. And so I have there's a thing called flatting in comics. So I do a comic book called Kaijumax. I'll just plug it right here.
Yeah.
And the flatter / color assistant for that book his name is Jason Fisher, and and so I wrote him. I was like, Jason, please, can you do me a favor? Can you do the flats for this? And and that's just selecting all the areas and making sure that they're all that everything is the right color. And it's agonizing. I mean, or it's agonizing if you have if it's if you're stressed about your deadlines.
Yeah.
And so, and of course he's like, oh, I know what color all these characters are because I'm 35 years old or whatever. And so that was great. And I don't know if I could do it. I couldn't do half the things I do without Jason to do that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's zoom in a little bit and get a close look at some of these some of the gags that are in here that people may have missed. So let's see. I'm kind of surprised at how many of these ended up just like transitioning so well, like from the meeting to the sketch to the final product. Like I feel like there wasn't a lot left on the cutting room floor here, right?
Yeah. That's the nice thing about not having to cram everything like into the physical space of the main drawing, like last year's, like Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where everything kind of had to be in the actual space. Mm-hmm. But this could be like, oh, well, this is a photograph or whatever of a forest. I don't know why, but I mean, that like things are in different physical spaces.
Yeah.
So, and then you can cut them off if they're take up too much space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Same thing with this thwomp guy here. And then the little ironing board, which I thought really sold the
and the freshly. I mean, they look real pressed. They look real good.
Yeah, his little heart. He's so happy.
Can't help but notice that there's no bulge on this.
So yeah, well, that was one of the things that, of course, Reddit pointed out. They're like, "Wow, did you know that Luigi's penis is this size?" And it's like, and it's like I know, that stuff started popping up on, so to speak, on the, on social media or whatever. And while I was drawing this, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna not.
We'll just leave that one alone. Yeah,
because it's like you couldn't really comment on it in this drawing without like taking the pole position, basically just be like, I'm gonna really hit this joke hard.
Yeah. We do have a pretty deep cut internet Mario joke that we'll get to in a little bit here. But then Bullet Bill with the wrapped around. I don't know. There's something I really enjoy about that. I like part of what made this joke so funny to me is like when you think of a hat, in Mario Odyssey, it's easy to just say you put a hat on something and it's possessed. Okay. But like, how does a Bullet Bill wear pants? How does a Cheep wear pants?
And I like that the Nintendo's idea is just like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
However you can jam it in there, good enough. It's just Luigi anyway. So
There's Lucky 2 there. There's always good with the pants hanging down there.
Dangling pants.
The moon,
Xander. The tootin' moon.
Perfect.
I know. That's good stuff. And when you're really close, you can see all these little mistakes that I made. Like, there's a little bit of
gross.
See, right? Gosh, who even hires
Did
this
people?
guy?
I wonder if people got the tootin' moon.
Actually, people commented on Reddit. They're like, "Well, those aren't moons; they're bananas or whatever." And someone's like, "I think that's a butt."
It's a butt.
It's a butt.
Let's put that rumor to rest right now, everyone.
Right. And I thought, sometimes people can be willfully obtuse.
Yeah.
So there's your friend Toad.
Oh, I guess he is poking out. Oh well.
I think that's legit. I mean, that's
that
not
works.
That's inappropriate.
That works.
There's a little shy guy, and he has pants. I mean, in a way, I kind of like that. Not all of these have to be the be all end all of jokes.
Yeah,
like he just has pants on, and he looks weird.
Just okay pants. I liked the East Dunk City.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we kind of went back and forth on that, didn't we? Where like, what's the lamest, cardinal direction? Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is just like, when you think of like, okay, New Dunk City, that's what Mario gets, the cool one. But then it's like, what would be like the crappier suburb or
the rundown city?
Yeah,
that no
like
one wants to
like
go to.
Yeah, where do people sort of shudder a little bit when you say I live in blank Dunk City? Right. East Dunk City sounds like the reject.
Yeah. And we could have, Donk Heights. I don't know. But anyway.
I like this guy who's gotten knocked out by just getting hit with pants.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the flaming car in the background. I mean, sometimes you just kind of get kind of the chicken fat where it's just like, well, this is just the stuff that I put in the background to fill it up, and a burning car is actually always a pretty good one.
It does sell the idea of not being nearly as nice as New Dunk City.
Right. Yeah. And then,
how are those pants even working, Xander?
you know, obviously it's, anyway, let's move on to the next one.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I that was funny to do, and it's funny, these characters I haven't really drawn before, and so it's like, oh, they're kind of, they're made to be fun to draw, so that's what I like about them.
Yeah,
our fish, and then the Boo.
Oh man, I love that one.
He was actually originally gonna be in an ice cavern, and that's kind of like the cracks in the. It wasn't working. Like the Icy Blue and this Odyssey were too similar, and it didn't pop very well, and so that was a lucky change where I could just make it into a volcanic cave.
Yeah, that worked.
And so this was fun too to go into, because of those 2D sections. It's like, oh man, well, that's my era of Donkey Kong mainly.
Yeah,
and so it was fun to just grab the actual pixel art and just warp it and then trace it.
Yeah.
But let's see. And then of course the barrels. The T-Rex. This is my favorite part of the whole illustration. Like there's not really a joke there, but I just like that he'd be super annoyed that he got pants thrown on his head. Yeah.
And it makes as much sense as a T-Rex wearing a hat.
Right. Yeah, having a mustache.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's look at the logo for a second. Speaking of internet jokes. So there was a joke with the Super Mario Galaxy box, whereas like the sparkles on the letters spell out something funny. So we were trying to think of what would work for this one.
Right.
And I think that we had kind of given up on it because like we were working with different variations because we didn't know for sure if it was going to be just okay or regular or normal or whatever. And when we had just okay Luigi Odyssey, and we knew that was what we wanted to do, we looked at it for a little bit and it's like, man, it's hard to come up with like, what is the joke that if you take out just the sparkly letters, what could that spell that would be funny? And I think, was it Kyle or Ben Reeves? One of those two guys, I think.
I can't remember.
It was Kyle.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Just was like, what is it? Just you old.
That's just super dumb.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So there it is.
And people actually figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they immediately figured it out.
Which that was a big surprise. I thought that was by far the most like buried joke that we've maybe ever had in gaming.
Right.
But,
I don't know about that. There's some pretty buried jokes that maybe aren't even jokes.
yeah. But that in particular seems like the most deliberate thing that we've been like, hey, this would be a funny joke for the few people that get it.
Right.
You know? And yeah, of course the internet just figured it out almost instantly.
Yeah. Crowdsourcing.
But, yeah.
So yeah, I actually, you know what? I thought there was going to be like a tagline, and so I kind of left some space, and then when it came out, I was like, oh well, I guess it's worth 1,000 words, like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are times I think when that just ends up like sometimes that you need a tagline to sell the joke. I think we did that with Metal Gear last year. I don't remember what it was exactly. But
yeah, and it's like the BioShock one. Which we kind of have said is like the gold standard, but you had to have the tagline, or else nobody would understand it.
Yeah, to sell the idea. Yeah, the BioShock one, for people who have not seen it, is, you know, the idea that like first there was Big Daddies, then Big Sisters, but now there's Big Grandpa. And the idea is just like a super old Big Daddy, but like a whole bunch of those kinds of jokes.
And it's again, it's like it had all the information, but you had to say what it was.
You had to say like, hey, this is what we're going for. But I think with this one, just saying just okay Luigi Odyssey, I think completely sells.
And him throwing his pants.
Yeah,
what more do you
like,
need?
Right. Well, what do you need? Exactly.
That's what he'd do.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to show off?
I don't know. I mean, you know, there's a lot of sort of inside baseball stuff for illustration stuff, but a lot of it is, I mean, it's kind of interesting, I think, to sort of say, well, you know, if you take out the effects, let's see what. Oh yeah, I mean, that's a lot of that's just sort of like highlights and things like that. The flats can be interesting because it's like, oh, then I paint. Oops. Like I paint in all the darkness on them, like and the light, with just a filter, and so they'd all be pretty flat otherwise. And then you just kind of go in and say, all right, I want to darken it X%, but then you have these things that are just like that's the mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I paint, you know, I sort of paint with like a fuzzy thing, and it gives you that sort of darker shade there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's nice because then if we all of a sudden say, no, you know, it's been cleared, Luigi wears green pants, then we can change the pants to green, and I don't have to redo all the shading as well.
Interesting.
You know, so and then like at the last minute I decided I need to put in all those like hem lines so that they look like jeans and not just random pants. I don't know, or sweatpants.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, yeah, this is all the character. So Jason, when he gave me the flats, it's the characters are in one thing, but then like the backgrounds are in another, and which makes it easier because then you can have like bigger, lighting effects on background stuff and not have it affect the characters.
Yeah.
Little things like the shadows of the frame, which
True.
So anyway, it's just
I love talking about this, or I love hearing you talk about this stuff, just because there are, as someone who does not know about this, there are all these kinds of little details that, you know, my eye just sort of glosses over, right? Like, oh yeah, that looks right, and not really realizing how much consideration and effort goes into this, like.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks so much better after that step that I never would have guessed was there to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of times it's, you know, it isn't pre-planned. It's just sort of saying like, okay, well, I drew this and I colored it this color. Oh, no, it doesn't match. It doesn't look like the Mario cover. I mean, like, you know, like that big, like this big, like that big, shade. It's like
Yeah.
I had it like that before, and it's like that's fine. It's not wrong exactly, but it doesn't. He doesn't seem important enough.
Yeah.
So, so there's all these little things that you kind of have to, you have to like recreate reinvent the wheel kind of every time.
Yeah.
Even down to like, painting little clouds in the background, just so that you don't ask questions like why there aren't clouds.
Well,
so
Zander, thank you so much for, for the art and for taking the time to come and chat with us here.
I love it.
And you mentioned it before, but if people want to see more of your work, you're working on Kaijumax, which is in starting season 4 now,
season
right?
4. It will be starting in a couple months. I'm still working on it.
Okay. But so seasons 1 and 2 are in trade paperback,
and 3
already.
is about to come out. I think next month. So
all right.
Yeah. So it's and it's been a great series. It's great, a lot of fun to work on. Almost as fun as Game Informer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that what's your sell on that was basically like a prison movie, like Oz meets Godzilla or something, right?
Yeah. What if you had to put all the Godzillas in prison? Would they form gangs and deal drugs? Probably.
Yeah. But it evolves beyond that so quickly in interesting ways. I don't know.
It's the saddest
I'm a fan.
story about giant monsters that you could ever read. Yeah.
So, check that out if you want to see more of Zander's work. And
See you next year.
All right.
See you next year.
I can't wait.